We're here to just pull some cards for Aries season for the general vibes that we're going to be moving through collectively, what we can kind of expect, how we can prepare, how we can support ourselves. I start off with a reading with the Rider-Waite deck. I've had this deck for 12 years and it's older than 50. I got it in a used bookstore in Victoria, and it's the reason that I became a tarot reader. So it's very dear to me. It's very used and loved and softened, and has its own wisdom. And then we go into my deck, which is the Cowgirls Oracle, and it is like 3 or almost 4 years old. And it's literally drawn on card stock. I love her. She's amazing. Sort of my life's work so far, aside from all the other work. Aside from all the other work, it's my life's work. And we're just gonna dive on in. So if you have any questions or curiosities through it, ask away. If you're watching this later, let me know what you think. Let me know if it hits. Let me know again if you have any questions, curiosities that I can answer in the comments. And wishing you an abundant, beautiful day. So let's dive in. What does the season hold for us? Oh my God. Okay. I'm like literally being haunted by this Nine of Swords card. So if you follow me on Instagram, I pull a reading for us every single week. And this card has been following us around for a while. And so I'm still seeing that there. And that's really a bulk of what we're kind of moving through in this Aries season. So I actually want to clarify like where that's coming from now, because it's always a little bit different. It's always a little bit different, but it's also really powerful because I feel like the kind of gist of this whole card is about like moving beyond the stories in our head and like not letting our brain and our anxiety and what we're scared of tell us what to do. We're actually like kind of recognizing that like, hey, I'm actually having this experience and maybe I don't like it so much, or maybe I want to see more of the truth. And so how do I face that? Anyways, I digress. So we're going to look at what is pushing us through Aries season. What is the big lesson? What is the energy that's kind of ushering us forward that we can kind of come back to when we're like feeling stuck, when we feel like we need to be repelled forward, and we're kind of looking for our reason that we're moving through all of this. So we have the Page of Swords. So the pages are the childlike energy of the cards. They're really playful. They're really curious. They're like, well, why can't I do it this way? They are Aries. Okay, the pages are Aries. And the Page of Swords is really dealing with the mind. It's dealing with the way that we think about things. It's dealing with like foundations of our nervous system, of our belief systems. And it's really us kind of just being like, well, why do I have to do this in a new way? Or like, why do I have to do this in the way that I have been? And I really feel that a lot of the Page of Swords energy is about coming back to ourselves, about coming back to ourselves, recognizing where we kind of lost ourselves along the way, where other people's opinions or experiences became maybe not even more important, but maybe safer for us to experience, but how that's taken us away from our truth and how we're not really taught to listen to ourselves. And so we're starting this Aries season with a lot of innovative energy, with a lot of just like, wait, like my voice is important kind of energy. And also the courage it takes to do that. And Aries is very courageous. Aries is scared and does it anyways. Aries is just like, hey, like fear is a part of the process. If I'm not feeling scared, then what am I doing? And it's not like fear mongering. It's just recognizing that like it's an energy. Excuse me. So all things are energy. So that's really what's pushing us forward. Just kind of like, well, why can't I do it this way? And like, why can't I listen to this? And if I'm having this hesitation or I'm having this resistance or I feel drawn this way, like what actually happens if I listen to that? So I feel that this kind of core energy here is really, really amplifying the meaty part of this Aries season, which is the Nine of Swords coming up from the King of Cups. So as I was saying, for this like Nine of Swords card that has been haunting me. It's really just recognizing the way in which our thoughts and our perceptions and the things that we think are real or that we assign realness to, how they weigh on us and how they actually can inhibit us from action. So even if we're feeling like, okay, there actually is this pattern and I'm safe and like I'm comforted and I have everything that I need and my body's telling me it's okay, like we also have to kind of like get on the same page as up here, right? And so part of this card and part of what we're moving through in Aries season is recognizing not all of these swords are real, not all the things that I think about, not all the things that I'm scared of, not all the what ifs that will happen are real, whether they're good or positive, right? And sometimes we're not avoidant of like the bad thing happening. Sometimes we actually are avoidant of the good thing happening. Sometimes we're avoidant of our own success and the responsibility that comes with it, right? So there is sort of a thing here that happens in this Nine of Swords where we, instead of taking a responsibility for our avoidance and like how we can build a relationship with it, we give like permission to our avoidance and we're like, no, you're doing good here, this is fine. And so where this is coming from is this King of Cups, which is so funny coming from Pisces season, because Pisces again is very that's very King of Cups, right? So we're coming from Pisces season into Aries season, which is exactly what's happening. But here, the King of Cups, the King is the boundary maker, and the Cups is how we nourish ourselves, right? So it's our emotional nourishing, it's our spiritual nourishing, it can be our physical nourishing. It's like kind of bridging the unseen world to the seen world, to the felt world, to the lived in world. And so the King of Cups is like, okay, if I can be connected to everything, then what is my relationship to everything? How can I set boundaries? How do I be connected and also set my own terms? How do I know that just whatever comes to me doesn't need to be something that I accept into my life? So we get our cup here, right? And then we get this little fish over here, and fish and tarot represent joy. So there is this energy of like with the King of Cups, it's like wanting to have joy, wanting to have abundance, wanting to hold space in our being and our energetic being and our thought being and all these kind of tangible and intangible aspects of ourselves for whatever experience we have. It doesn't just have to be joy, right? It can be connection, it can be pleasure, it can be fulfillment, it can be creativity, whatever it is. And so part of this card is recognizing that like we also have to be responsible for what comes into the space that we're holding, because if something is coming into that space, that means that that space is like hospitable to it, right? So if we're always seeing like rage coming into our space, whether it's ours or from others, it's like, okay, cool, like this is a space that can hold rage. There's nothing wrong with that, right? We're not villainizing anything. So we're just going, of the things that come into my life, whether that is through my emotional being, whether that is through my mind, whether it's through my 3D world and the things I experience or the people around me, what is the energy that I am making like hospitable? What is that? And if it's something that you like and it feels good and like things are going well, amazing, gorgeous, keep that up. Take that as evidence. This card needs evidence. This card needs to know, like, oh, actually, that's not true. That thing that's like lording over me, not true. It's fake. It's fucking fake. Or it's real and I can actually utilize that. And these other things are not true, right? Like, this is really trying to help us see what's real and what's not, and not letting our mind get in the way of what is truly in front of us, what we can actually move with, what we can deal with, what we can make decisions around. And so, yeah, this King of Cups card is, yeah, really just being like, oh, I need to be in the truth of what it is that I'm feeling, what it is that I'm thinking, what it is that's actually coming back to me and mirroring me, because the world is a mirror to us, right? And that's not to say that, like, if there's terrible things happening to you all the time, that, like, oh my God, like your inner world is bad and scary. But it could just be that, like, maybe you're not setting boundaries, right? Maybe there's a little bit of, like, oh, I'm not, like, worth good things happening. Maybe there's a little bit of, like, oh, if it goes up, it must come down kind of energy. So we are responsible for what we believe. We are, right? At a certain time, we become cognizant of prefrontal cortex is online, and we have to recognize that, like, whatever it is that we are indoctrinated into, whatever it is that we were sold or told or given, we don't have to keep it. What? We don't have, you don't have to keep it. You don't have to keep it. If it doesn't feel good for you, if it's not giving you the results that you want, if it's not a reflection of your personal truth and does not garner the results in your life that you want, you don't have to keep it. Right. And so here it's just sort of like realizing that. Like the other side of this card is the person being like, fuck these swords, right? And moving forward. So there is that energy here of being like, I can be connected to all these things. It's just whatever it is that I'm feeling right now isn't all that there is. So even if things are going like really well, you're feeling really lucky, you're feeling abundant. That's me right now. I'm feeling good in my life. It's also just being like, oh, okay. And there is this other stuff. So like, how do we continue to nurture and foster this? How do we choose what it is that we are holding space for, an area for? How do we let everything in and then choose what it is that we're going to do with what comes in, right? Because also I feel like if we have good stuff, it's our responsibility to use good stuff. So sometimes things are going to come to us and we're like, oh, like this is coming to me because I have the resources to work with it, not because it's like you deserve this, right? Like sometimes something hard happens and we're like, oh, like why is this happening to me? And it's like maybe it's showing you that like you're okay. You have the things that you need. Your nervous system is regulated. You can handle it. Like we also need evidence that we can handle things, right? We need that. And that doesn't come from like a perfectly regulated nervous system in a perfectly regulated environment where nothing happens and we're just like, wow, look at how good I'm doing. Nothing bad is happening because there's nothing bad here. That's not the world we live in. Our world is crazy. There's stuff happening. There's bad stuff happening. But there's also good stuff happening. Right? There's good stuff happening. So how can we use the good to support the bad, right? And not support the bad and being more bad, but to support the bad and getting to the truth of like what it's trying to teach us and what we're all trying to collectively do here. So if we look at the bridge, which is just how do I utilize this energy then? How do I utilize this energy? We come into the Four of Wands. So this is our action card. This is basically us going, okay, if I'm in this place of Nine of Swords, rooted in the King of Cups, how do I move forward? How do I keep going? What do I do with this? So 4 of Wands. So we come into the heart. We take all of the brain stuff. We take all of the emotional stuff, and we come into the heart, and we come into community, and we share it. We share our goodness. We share what's happening. We share our burdens. We ask for help, right? We recognize that there's something like worth it there. And that Page of Swords being the innovator and that's pushing us through is like, in order to innovate, you are also going to have to like overcome like the things in you that tell you you're not good enough. You're gonna have to overcome the things that like you still don't have evidence for, right? And the thing is that when you actually bring this forward, instead of isolating yourself, instead of taking it all on yourself, right? And when you ask for help, when you ask for celebration, when you ask for spaces to be seen and to connect, they're there and they want to connect with you, right? So I feel like some of us have been a little bit, some of us have been scared, some of us have been tentative, some of us have been waiting. Some of us have been listening and waiting for the right time to offer something forward or to bring something forward. And that's Aries season. Aries is like, yes, there's power here now. Everyone has space to connect and plug in, right? So if you're like, I want to do this project or this workshop and like maybe I didn't get the response that I wanted before, or maybe it's just like it didn't feel ready. Like if that feels like it's time, it's like there's something in you that wants you to respond to whatever it is that you want to plug into. And sometimes like we're not just like trying to like grow. Sometimes we're also trying to be in our growth. And that's really what this card says too. It's like, okay, like part of the path is like almost like creating like a pit stop, right? Like creating a checkpoint where you're like, okay, this is like I'm putting a notch in here that like this is how far we've come. This is how far we've come, and I want to commemorate that so that if I ever am like spiraling or regressing or whatever, like this is where I come back to. I'm not like spiraling all the way to the bottom, right? And I think that we need to do that sometimes for ourselves. We need to remind ourselves that like our levels shift as we do, right? Like my rock bottom is not the same rock bottom as 18-year-old me at all, not even a little bit. My rock bottom now is probably pretty close to like what like 18-year-old me was like striving for. Right. And so these things shift, they change, and they're supposed to. And so, yeah, we're coming into community, we're coming into connection, we are offering something. So, whatever it is that you're like, I want to do this, I want to offer it, do that. Even if it's just like, I want to extend a hand in friendship, I want to start like creating something and offering it here. I want to take what I've used and put it to the test. There's something here about application. So, whatever that means for you. And then how we exit Aries season. So what all this accumulates into, and then where we go from it, which is the 8 of Wands. So we're moving really from swords into wands. We're moving from the mind and this intangible and this kind of pulling down like psychic energy that is Pisces, and we're coming into the heart. We're coming into Aries. We're coming into fire, right? And even the cups. The cups is actually maybe more Pisces, and that it's a water sign. But anyways, I digress. That's a whole astrological lesson for another time. But here, this is what this is how we exit Aries. This is what it teaches us. And the 8 of Wands is really about fucking around and finding out. It's like you enter through the 4 of Wands and you're just like, okay, cool. So this is what I want to do. This is where I want to connect. And then you fine tune it. Then you figure out what actually sticks. You figure out what that thing actually needs to be supported. Like this is like a very like, you can't refine it and you can't define it until you fuck around with it, until you put it out there, right? So you have to actually engage with imperfectionism. You actually have to engage with the fact that like you're not going to be able to have something that's complete before you bring it out into the world, and that's okay, right? Part of it becoming like complete or becoming satisfied with it or whatever that looks like for you is actually about figuring out how that feels, and not just outside of you, but actually specifically inside of you. How does it feel to be a leader? How does it feel to offer this in this way? How does it feel to take on this role? What are things that you're doing that you don't want to be doing that you want to give to someone else? Right. So there's a lot of energy here. And I really believe that this 8 of Wands is just like it's like this is the perfect pipeline from Aries into Taurus, because Aries is like, this is all the stuff I have, and then Taurus is like, okay, so let's figure out how to work with it. Let's get a little bit more grounded. Let's figure out what's actually going to help us move forward. And if we see this card here, it's like you get this river and then all of these wands, and it's like, which wand's actually going to help me cross that river, right? Which one's going to be like my Swiss Army knife? Which ones are actually foundational and which ones are pulling me back? Because sometimes we want to do everything all at once and we put it all there, and then we're like, you know what, parts of what I'm offering here aren't super relevant. They actually aren't needed. They aren't needed, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that that thing is bad or it's not worth anything or it's not going to be valuable. It just means like, I don't need this part here. Like, why would I bog this down if this isn't a necessary part of it, if people aren't engaging with this? And that's okay, right? It doesn't mean it was a bad idea. It just means like, okay, maybe this belongs somewhere else. And that's it, right? So we're finding out what belongs. We're doing a lot of practicing. We're doing a lot of evidence finding. We're doing a lot of like, okay, like now it's actually time to bring it out into the world, right? We've been thinking, we've been, metamorphosizing, we have been coagulating in here. And now we must start those actions of bringing it forward into the world and going, hi, will you see this? Will you be with this? So it feels really beautiful. I think that Aries season feels very hopeful. It feels very like, please just do it kind of energy. It's okay to be scared. it's okay if things don't work out perfectly. It's just a refinement tool. Like we're using Aries to refine. We're using Aries season to practice trying, to practice being seen. That's a really big part of this. You're gonna have to be seen. You're gonna have to be seen. And you're also gonna have to be seen by yourself. And sometimes that's even harder. That's even harder to do, right? So how can you also see yourself with loving kindness? Okay, and now let's see what the Cowgirls Oracle has to say. Yeah. Cherry, satisfaction, bandana, and freedom. Wow. I feel like we've had some of these cards before. And again, I've seen all of these very recently in my readings on my Instagram page. So, starting with cherry, turn inwards. It doesn't matter how small it starts. It has a lot of potential so that, if you're like, I want to post this one reel, or I just want to write this one poem, or I want to wear this one outfit, it's like the little things matter. Don't discount that something is small. Don't discount the amount of pleasure that you get from it. Small acts of pleasure, small acts of resistance, they really do add up. And they give us that evidence that that Nine of Swords is looking for, right? And it's about what you need from it. It's about what your nourishment is. It's about how you experience it, right? It's not about the world. It's about you being like, did I actually enjoy the process of making that? Was I authentic to myself? Was I able to stay present in it? Was I able to show up in the way that I wanted to and needed to? So cherry is that reminder of just like those small ways that we align ourselves and we find pleasure in being ourselves, they grow into bigger things. And that's really what we want. So it's like better to get it right with small things than to put a bunch of shit out there and just be like, ooh, like I wasn't present with all of that. So really like presence is very, very important, like quality over quantity. And then we have, oh, not that card. Then we have satisfaction. Satisfaction comes from human design. For me, this is my human design. This is a trait for me. If it doesn't resonate, then leave it. But for me, satisfaction is so important because if I do something and it can be great, but I don't feel satisfied by it, I don't feel like I put in my effort, I don't feel connected to it, it's like that doesn't register in my brain then as complete. So satisfaction here doesn't tell us that something has to be perfect. It doesn't tell us that it has to be up to our expectations. Sometimes we have a story, aka an expectation about how something will go, and satisfaction allows us to come into the present moment, right? It's like you think that you want a whole bag of cherries, but actually you have a perfect handful and you're like, I'm good. That was the perfect amount. Like I can actually stop now, right? So satisfaction also asks us to be present. Satisfaction asks us to take in what our experience offering something is, right? It's not just about the results because sometimes, you post we're going into posting territory, but it's like you post something and it gets a million views, but you hated making it, then what was the fucking point, right? You're planting seeds of disingenuity. That isn't what you want, right? So satisfaction, what are you satisfied with? What ideas can you bring to life? How can you be satisfied with what you are doing in your processes? This isn't about anyone else. And then we have bandana, and bandana is like when you are on a path and you see those little like things wrapped around the trees to let you know that you're like on the orange trail or on the blue trail, right? It's like there will be signs and there will be signs. So the bandanas turn inwards. It's like there will be inner signs. There will be more creativity. You will have more energy. You will feel more aligned. You will feel more free. You will feel happier. Whatever it is, whatever your signs are, whatever you're like, oh, there I am. There it is, right? And that like you can obviously see it in the outside world because we're all reflections of each other, but you will see it the most within you, right? So it could be in your dreams, it could be in your journaling practice, it could be in how you're talking to yourself, it could be in how you feel when you wake up and get dressed, it could be just like having a routine that you're like, oh my God, wait, I'm actually sticking to this, or this is actually slang for me right now. It's meditating. I'm meditating every day, whether it's 5 or 20 minutes, anywhere above or below, like whatever it is, right? And for me, like that's where I get my inner bandana. That's where I get my little like, okay, and this is where you go on the path today. So listening to that, being with yourself, again, this active presence, we have to be aware of it. We have to actually recognize, hey, right, this is something I'm looking for. This is a way that I want to feel. This isn't a way that I want to feel, right? As much as there are signs on the path, there are also signs that say, don't go this way anymore. And those are also very important bandanas. And then we have freedom. And freedom for me is so fucking Aries and it's also so fucking fire horse. So freedom is really asking you to look at what pillars of your life you need to have in place that are important for you in order to feel free. So for me, I'm like, I need a certain amount of time and I need a certain amount of money, right? I need to have a certain amount of structure and things that I owe to other people, and I need to have things that I owe to myself. Like freedom for me is not free falling. Freedom for me is like being like, okay, and like this is sort of like where I can feel like this is sustainable. This is where I actually feel like I can sustain being myself, because freedom is not just a moment. Freedom is ideally something that is sustained, that is something we have continuous access to. And so in order to create that, we need to kind of look at our like, what is my sacrifice equals sacred formula, What is that for you? What is it that you're willing to sacrifice in order for what's sacred to you? And we're talking about that in the realm of freedom. So when we're looking at Aries season, very, very free. But we also have ideas about what freedom is. We have stories about what freedom is. So this is asking you to actually look at what makes me feel free, right? Not what the idea of it is, not what I can hold space for as freedom as a concept, but what actually allows me to feel free being who I am. Something that was really big for me in feeling freedom was being like, oh, even though I can like totally like be a part of queer culture and I am a queer person, and like I want to be able to be in there, I'm also just a hyper femme girly. I'm just a femme girly. I actually don't want to fucking mullet. It doesn't feel good for me. And that was freedom for me, was realizing, oh, I don't need to like perform a certain thing or look a certain way in order to be a part of something, right? That's just a very, very, very small example of it. But freedom often looks very different than what it is that we think it would, because it's not usually super glamorous. It's a feeling, right? And so we need to, in order to have that feeling, be safe. And in order to be safe, we need to be taking care of our needs, right? So there is also this like level of responsibility that comes with freedom. And I don't think that we talk about that, that responsibility and freedom, they are not, they're not exclusive of each other. So anyways, that's your reading for Aries season. It was really rapid fire. We went through that fast. That is very Aries. And I hope that it resonates. I hope that you got everything that you needed out of it. And if you want a personal reading, if you want to dive in more, I have one-on-one readings available every week on my Instagram on Mondays, usually, sometimes a little bit later, but usually on Mondays, I do a week ahead reading for the collective as well, if you are still wanting something a little bit broader to tune into. And other than that, I love you. Thanks for being here. Again, my name is Forest. I'm a tarot reader. I'm a poet. The wind is a paid actor today, and I'm wishing you a really beautiful spring equinox, Aries season, all of the things.